Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video day, and today the Houston Texans beat the Tennessee Titans 26-0 in a shutout to get their first win of the season to improve to 1-3 and 1-1 at home. Look, the way this team looked today, it is very promising, and the only thing I can't stop thinking about is if the Texans were able to finish one or both of the two games that they lost. I'm not even thinking about the Rams game. The Rams game, the Texans' offense looked terrible, but I think the Texans offense looked, I think, bad in the Jags and Bucks game. But I think we can all admit that the Texans' offense looked better in the Jags and Bucks game than it did in the Rams game. But if the Texans could have just managed to win one or both those games, we could be talking about a 2-2 or 3-1 team right now, and that is really tough to think about. That this team is 1-3 now, going into Baltimore, then going into the bye after that, when they should be either 2-2 or maybe even 3-1 with some of those close finishes against Tampa and Jacksonville. Even the LA game was close down then too. But this was a dominant win. I think a couple things we saw in this game today you've not seen in a while from this Houston Texans team. I mean, the last time, I think it's just crazy to think about. The last time the Houston Texans got a shutout, DeMeco Ryans was playing for the Houston Texans. Now he is the coach. A shutout, 26-0 today, is the first shutout since November 2010. Now, I could be wrong on that. DeMeco might have been gone from the Texans. I think DeMeco was still a Houston Texan in 2010, if I am correct. And that was 15 years ago. That was the last time the Texans got a shutout. Funny enough, against guess who? The Tennessee Titans. So the Houston Texans' last two shutouts are against the Tennessee Titans. Now, if you include preseason, the Texans did have one in 2022, but no one's including that. Also, for the first time for the Houston Texans since the 2021 season, or they said the first time in 4 years, but so I'm guessing 2021 season, 2020 2021, the Houston Texans scored 20 points in the fourth quarter. It was a really good fourth quarter. I think a lot to go positive, a lot of positives to go into this next week with the way the Texans finished this game. I wasn't impressed with the way the offense looked through three quarters, but I thought that in the fourth quarter, we started to see DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caley trust C.J. Stroud more with the ball, and I thought that he got more opportunities to throw the ball late in this game, and that was good for him. But yeah, all right, 26-0 is the final scoring summary. It was all Texans, 2 field goals in the first half. For Farrenbarren, 47 and 43. He missed at 54, the point where they didn't really trust him again when he had an opportunity to potentially kick a 52 or 53-yard kick, and it was a 4th and 1. But the Texans made the right decision to go for it on 4th and 1. Then we see a C.J. Stroud 12-yard touchdown pass to Woody Marks, who would have 2 touchdowns. That is Marks' first career touchdown of his career, and that's also the first touchdown. That was the first touchdown of the year for the Houston Texans in the red zone. Texans had 3 prior touchdowns of this. 1 50-yard touchdown pass to Nico Collins, and then they had 1 touchdown pass to Nico Collins that I think was like 25, 30 yards, and then Nick Chubb had, a 25-yard, 30-yard touchdown run against the Bucks. So they had 3 touchdowns, but all of them were over 25 yards. And then the Woody Marks one was 12 yards today. And then another another touchdown for the Texans over 20 yards when C.J. Stroud, gets a little bit of his inner Aaron Rodgers on a jump. C.J. Stroud takes advantage, and another rookie. All the touchdowns were rookies today. Jaden Higgins, 24-yard touchdown pass, or 24-yard touchdown pass to Jaden Higgins. I think that was one of the very positive things of this day today for the Houston Texans was their rookies shining. Woody Marks had a career day so far. Unbelievable. He looks like the new running back 1. Jaden Higgins looks great today. I think there's a lot to be impressed about with some of the rookies on this squad. And then Woody Marks had an 18-yard rushing touchdown to make it 26-0 with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter to wrap up the 20-point fourth quarter for the Houston Texans. The Texans limited Cam Ward to 108 passing yards today. Also got an interception. So I mean, you look at the point per game average. I think the Texans have one of the best in the league if you look at what they're giving up. They've given up, at this point, 51 points in 4 games, which is giving up only 12.75 points per game for the defense. Like that, the Texans, I think, honestly have been one of the best defenses in the NFL, maybe the best defense in the NFL. I mean, I don't think that is that crazy to say. They've been one of the best defenses in the NFL, maybe number one, but their offense has been so terrible. But then today you see their offense start to click it. So if their offense can start to play like this every week with the way their defense has been playing through 4 weeks, this could be dangerous to the Houston Texans. But yeah, C.J. Stroud had 233 passing yards. Look, I think they're not letting C.J. Stroud pass enough. The run game was good today, but C.J. Stroud was really good today too. And I thought the offensive line did a solid job of protecting him today. I thought one thing that I was impressed about is the offensive line had no holding penalties on pass plays today. Now, unfortunately, and I think this is really rare, the offensive line did pick up 3 holdings on run plays, which is really rare to have that many holdings on run plays. But no holdings today for the Houston Texans on pass plays. That is a really positive sign from the offensive line. And the Texans, offensive line did give up 2 sacks early. I think there was 3 sacks given up, I think, today by the offensive line. It's not great, but it was only 1 in the second half, I believe. I thought the offensive line had a decent day today for the Houston Texans. Rushing yard leaders, you had Woody Marks with 17 carries and 69 rushing yards with a rushing touchdown, but he also had a big impact on the receiving end. What about L'Jarius Sneed? Does he know who Nico Collins is now? Because he had an amazing day. 4 receptions for 79 receiving yards. He had a big catch on 2nd and 33 for the Houston Texans. Great throw for C.J. Stroud. I think that's my favorite pass of the year so far for the Houston Texans because that really got them. I think that really gave them some life. Danielle Hunter had 2 sacks today. I thought he was such a huge impact for this Texans defense. Their linebacker, the Titans linebacker, Gray led them in tackles with 17 tackles today. Henry Toto led the Texans in tackles with 5. Not a lot of tackles for the Texans today. Well, there wasn't a lot of plays being made by the Titans. The Texans controlled the game with time of possession, and the Titans only completed 10 passes. So. And ran the ball 14 times. There wasn't a lot of opportunities to get tackles in this game. Let's go over the full box score real quick to go over some other stats. Nick Chubb did have 13 carries and 47 rushing yards in this game. Stroud ran for 11 yards. I believe that is his lowest rushing total of the season. I think that's his worst game with his legs on the season. Jalen Noel had 2 rushing yards. And then outside of Nico Collins, Woody Marks was the second guy in receiving yards. So Woody Marks had over 100 yards in scrimmage today with 50 receiving yards and a touchdown. Dalton Schultz had 5 receptions for 30 receiving yards. Jaden Higgins had 1 reception for 24 receiving yards and a touchdown. Christian Kirk had 3 receptions for 20 receiving yards. And Xavier Hutchinson had 2 and 17. And Nick Chubb had 2 and 15. Jalen Noel had 1 catch for -2 yards. The leader in receiving yards for the Titans was Alec Anamar with 2 receptions for 44 receiving yards. Calvin Ridley continues to struggle. No fumbles in the game. Like I mentioned, the Texans were led by tackles with 5 for Henry Toto. And I was right. The Texans' offensive line only gave up 2 sacks today. One was just an amazing play by Jeffrey Simmons, and then the other was a sack for Arden Key. I thought the O-line played their best game of the day today, in my opinion. They had some great blocking as well for the Texans' run game. So I was impressed with the O-line at the end of the day today. I don't know how many times I'm going to be able to say that this year, though. 2 sacks for Danielle Hunter. That was all the Texans got with sacks. But tackles for loss, you got 2 for Hunter. You had 2 for Petrie, 1 for Mara Edwards, 1 for Tommy Togai. And that wraps it up for tackles for loss for the Texans. The only interception was by Derek Stingley Jr. That is his first interception of the year. That's the Texans' second pick of the year. He returned it 20 yards for the pick. So, yeah, positive day for the Texans to get a dub. 26-0 is the final score. You guys let me know your thoughts on the game in the comment section, and peace out.